Okay. Okay, good morning to everyone in joining our little color foundation in Belgium. ICA-Belgium is a member of the bigger association AIC. And what we want to accomplish with ICA-Belgium is to make a bridge between science, art, design, and all the other disciplines who work with color. So we would love you to support us a little bit, because we are all volunteers and always struggling to financially get around. We have some people here, I see, they are a member of ICA-Belgium, and you can be for only 45 euros a year. So that's practically nothing. But of course, if 10 people would join us, even more, it would give us some breathing space. So for that, we would like to invite you. So enough talking about me. I will give the microphone to Maya, and Maya will introduce Timo, the speaker of today.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Welcome. So I'm very happy to introduce Timo Rieke today. He's a German designer and professor of color design at the Hoch University of Applied Sciences and Arts in Hildesheim. He's a board member of the German Color Association, Deutsches Farbenzentrum, a partner of the Institute International Transcouting as well as Hoch, and design director of the Visual Haptics Lab that he founded in Hanover in Germany in 2004. Timo worked for 8 years in Vienna for the architectural firm Koop Himmelblau. His research focus is on color in the field between society, individuality, space, product, haptics, and synaesthetics. He advises public and private clients on the development of spatial and product designs. Since 2018, Timo Rieke has been responsible for the development of the RAL Color Feeling Trend Report. Timo, welcome, and the screen is yours.
Thank you, Maya.
I forgot to ask one thing. Can you please put your questions in the chat? And then after the talk of Timo, Timo will be glad to answer them for you. Yes. Okay, Timo, it's...
I'm on it. So I will have to share the screen now. So I hope you can see my screen clearly.
Yes, we can.
Okay. Thank you for the introduction. I will talk about color today. Actually, the topic of the talk is that you don't expect too much today. I must say I have a little bit of a cold and my mind is a little dizzy today, but I hope that I will be able to talk to you in a concentrated manner for the next 45 minutes or something. So if you have questions, put them in the chat and we'll talk about them afterwards. So as we heard, I'm part of some organizations, and some of these organizations will appear during the lecture again. I just want to show you some image of HAWK, or HAWK, as we say in German, the Hochschule für angewandte Wissenschaft und Kunst in Hildesheim. So this is a new campus. It's the Weinberg campus. We're on here next year, like 10 years now. And we have a color design study there, 6th semester Bachelor of Arts and 4th semester of Master of Arts, integrated into a whole area of other disciplines like interior architecture, lighting design, graphic design, product design, metal design, branding design, advertising, digital environments, and integrated design. So we are the faculty of design there, and on the other hand, I have a little studio that's called the Visual Haptics Lab, that we do now since 2004, so it's 20 years next year. And we get rid of this little thing here. And we and we're working mostly for the areas of arts and design, architecture, collections for the industry. Also like fair exhibition design, graphic design, photography for the design industry, and for example also for the color industry, or other industry partners like surface manufacturers and stuff. Our studio is quite small. There are some examples of parts of the studio you can see here. And we like to work really hands-on too. We have, on one hand, a lot to do that is really digital and takes place on the monitor. But then we always try to look at the color as it really is, because of course the appearance of color changes during application, during different lightings and stuff. So we have to test each color we apply also in real. Yeah, you can see some of the future concepts here on the table, and some insights of working processes during the last color feeling collection, where we always test the colors before we publish them, so that we know how they appear actually. I must say some of the photos I show today are more like, not like private, but most of them I haven't shown. We have a sound here in the, okay. Louisa, maybe you can switch off. Yeah, thank you. Of course, we support the industry in color collections, as you maybe see here. So we also try to try to advise the industry in checking if their collections are up to date, and if they are if they need to be revised and stuff. So it's what color designers do actually. So we go now from the background. We have a very short background to some of the principles of color. I will talk about color education after this. Then I will talk about shortly about the politics of color, and in the end I will show some tools to apply what we heard today. I always have some sound in my ear, so maybe check please if your microphone is turned off. This would be nice. Okay, my lectures I always start with this example. It's an example that for me shows very clearly not just the fascinating aspect of sound and form, but also of color. So because you clearly see how unconscious this kind of color works, and also how color is combined with other senses. Here you see not too much color, it's black and white mostly. But if I ask you which form you see here, 1 and 2, would be the word of taquete, and which form would be maluma, your decision would be very easy, I guess. So I haven't seen any person who did not say that number 1 is maluma and number 2 is taquete. This is a synaesthetic aspect of our perception, that we combine sound and form, and we integrate them to a unit and say, okay, this is fitting, and the other one does not really fit. This is also something we always do in design, that we try to figure out what context, what form, what color, what else you can think of is fitting to a scenario or a context. You can see this here quite clearly. Of course, you can support these kind of things with color too. So if you support the Maluma aspect, I also have the typography here that is a little bit more round. You can say, okay, this is a consequent and also thoughtful integration of color, form, and sound, and maybe also typography here. And it's understandable and logic. And you could say, okay, this might be also something like beautiful because it works together. If it doesn't work together, if these aspects of color like sound, color, and form doesn't fit together, you will get this kind of irritation that people would say, oh no, that's ugly, that doesn't fit together. And interestingly, already small children are really able to decide which of these combinations fit and which doesn't fit. I always see this with my daughter, who is really good in thinking about what things fit in one context and what one doesn't. So this is something you learn when you grow up, and it's a little bit more conscious when you're younger. This comes to the conclusion that you have to say that color is not just some kind of surface or a paint or something like this, but always, if you apply color, it's something that is connected to the other areas of design or meaning. So color is content and not surface, because color is always has to be seen in a relationship, in a context with all the other stuff in our situations and surroundings. The other example is this one. If I tell you this might be trees, maybe, or yeah, like mountains or something like this, or some kind of spiky things, you would say, okay, maybe I believe you, it's mountains. But yeah, this is where somehow also your fantasy will end when you look at these kind of things. If I apply color, you can easily reach functional differentiation that appeals to sensuality and also to emotion. So color has some kind of physical effect here. You can see that on the left side, you can see 6 of these mountains or spikes or color fields that seem to be more strong than the ones in violet that seem to be a little weak, that flee somehow before the powerful red ones. So here we have 2 parties fight each other. One appears more conspicuous, the other more powerless. One group flees, the other attacks. One retreats, the other pushes forward. So you have another effect that really color has, of course. You can change the color again, and now you can see the color serves to specify the expected materiality and the central aesthetic effect. Here we see a group of fir trees, young trees with light and soft needles, and old trees with pointed and sticky needles. Color has an effect on the expectation of sensual impression, you can see here quite nicely. So the bigger trees are older, the needles are hard and spiky. The young ones, you can maybe imagine these kind of more soft needles and stuff. And this is some kind of logic that is here. They have smaller ones that are more gentle, and the bigger ones that are a little bit more nasty. Color also serves to specify cultural imprints. If I ask you or tell you this is a festival, music festival, and these are tents on a music festival, and we see some tents that are trendy, some colorful plastic tents, old wool tents, classic average tents, and it's easy for us to imagine the matching people. I always do this with my students and ask them, yeah, what do you think in which of these tents, or let's see, let's take this tent here, what do you think who's living inside of this tent? And they always say, okay, it's a little bit older person that has a tent that is more, that is not trendy, that is more functional, with a more natural material. And if you think of this person here, you always have a much younger person with an artificial material tent and stuff. So this is something where you learn about culture, about milieus, about target groups, and certain combinations are perceived as fitting and others as unsuitable for some persons. So some compositions, if you think of people that are living inside, are quite beautiful and others are not. So this is something that we use, of course, if you do color collections for the industry, let's say carpets or something, or for product design, that you think of the meaning of color in connection to target groups and cultural expectations. Of course, colors can also have a healing effect because of the similarity to nature. Then they remind you of clean air, warm light, fresh and moist green, blossoms and fruits maybe, and low contrasts that reduces strong irritation. The colors have similarities in brightness and intensity, which increases the harmonious effect here. So you can work quite nicely with color, and you can see that color really has an impact on the expectation if you look at these kind of designs that you see here. We also tested this kind of insights we had in a little study. The study is called the Haptic Visual Study, Surface and Structure, Color and its Relation to Sensory Perception. And next year it will be published in English. It's just published in German right now. So if you're interested. We were asking about 18 colors, so like basic colors, but not all were basic colors. We also had some brown inside, it's also gray. We had light blue and like pink, a rose color. So that's not like basic colors. So with 18 colors, we were asking with these kind of polarities. So we're asking if the color you see here is warm or cold, round and spiky, soft or hard, slippery, adhesive, flat or bulging, fine and rough, dry or moist, and stuff like this. So the one area on the left side here is the area where you have this kind of sensory application or sensory feelings, like warm and cold, smooth and rough, soft and loud, like fragile and stable is something that you can feel with a sense of touch. You have acoustics there, and you also have like taste, like sweet and sour, light and heavy. That's something you feel with your body. And on the other hand, you had some polarities that are more cultural associated, like female or male, for example, or young and old. So if you analyze these things, you can see that, let's say the black, that you can see that black is more opaque, that is really heavy, that is more stable, that's really hard, and is expected to be neither female or male. It's quite straight, it's a matter of fact, it's gloomy somehow, of course, and a little bit more expensive than cheap. On the other hand, you see the magenta color here, that is expected to be more loud, more artificial. It's quite young, stimulating, of course, fresh, cheerful, but also a little ignorant and dishonest. So this is quite nice to see what people think of or expect of a color to be like. If we put these 18 colors now into evaluation, you can see quite nicely the softest colors on the top and the hardest colors on the bottom here. And you also can see that the warmer colors are more soft and the colder colors are more hard, as a principle somehow. The colors that are neither warm or cold, a little bit more in the middle. So you can see quite nicely that our study did work quite nicely. That you can also see in some principles of color meaning. Adhesive slippery is something that is important for hospitals, maybe for people with dementia or something like this. That you say, okay, I need to do some kind of flooring. And if you want to do some kind of flooring, you would choose a color, maybe. And it would be good to choose a warmer color, a little darker color, if you want to say it's not slippery. And if you apply a white or blue color or turquoise color that is quite light, your floor will appear to be quite slippery. So this is something that you can also put in use if you design homes for the elderly, for example, or something like this. That some colors are a little bit better of an idea and some are not. Like fine and rough, also here you can see that's a little bit more of a decision of lightness. Dry and moist is also warm and cold. Light and heavy is interesting because it's really something that you also can see in the color, of course. Heavy colors are more dark. And you can really nicely see this the stream of development of colors. Smooth and rough. In addition, we said, okay, let's see it the other way around. And we said, okay, these kind of graphic forms you can see here, like these triangles, they also are a signal that you interpret, or your brain interprets, as something that is tactile, that's something that you could feel with your hands. And you can quite clearly see that it's more spiky, that these trees, if you see them as trees, are more spiky if you see it on a haptic or tactile way. And you can see quite nicely in the evaluation that that some people tend to interpret these kind of graphic as a haptic sensation, and others said it's more a cultural thing. You see some kind of form that must be some kind of tree, so they decided to be green here as a result of this kind of form. So we did ask, what do you think? What color fits to this kind of graphic you see here? So some people say interpret it on haptic way, like you see, like magenta and yellow maybe, like more spiky. And on the other hand, you have the answers that is more natural and green, like these trees. Interestingly, it's also interesting to see which color have not been mentioned at all. So these all were colors that are not too colorful. We have the squares. These squares also here. It's interesting to see which color have not been meant. This is all the colorful colors have not been mentioned here. So it's really something that is really stable and expected not to be too colorful. I like this example a lot because it shows you some kind of differences if you think of pattern also, and you get an idea if you're in a clothing shop why some pattern with some color work, or you say, yeah, this is a beautiful combination of pattern and color. and some pattern with some colors does not really work, and you say, okay, no, this is really ugly. This is something that doesn't fit together. You can see this here quite clearly. So you have the dots that are really narrow and doesn't leave much space for each other, like in a crowded elevator maybe. And people say, okay, this is really dense, this high energy inside. They all say it's reddish, warm, and a lot of energy. And on the other hand, you have these dots that has more area around them, that is more light in the end too. And it's a little bit more easy to look at maybe. And you have all the colors there that are really light. And this is quite interesting if you apply this kind of ideas to the design scene also for textile design and stuff. Also here you see you have different levels of design, and if they fit together, they are expected to be more fitting. In the end, we had to say we could conclude that spiky sensations, or this kind of graphic here, seem to be more like the cold colors. And magenta is always something in between. It's not really a color that it's easy to decide. So it's always a little bit disturbing. But you see on the first graphic that spiky colors are more cold and that round colors are more warm. You can see quite nicely in the middle that really playful gestures and bodily feelings and emotions where it's going on a lot that are really playful. Also have a high chroma. This is really colorful. And on the other hand, if you think of really objective, stable structures and ideas, they become less colorful, of course. The other aspect is light and heavy. There are some, we saw this before, the lighter colors don't need to be too dense, and the stronger colors are more stable and heavy. And if you look at it really clearly, you can see the aspects of a color system in here. So the first one is like the color wheel. The second one is the level of chroma. And the third one is the levels of lightness. So if you put them together, you can construct some kind of emotional color model that has the bright, airy, light and white colors on top, and the dark, deep, heavy and narrow colors on the bottom. You have colors here around the color wheel that are quite striking and really, really active. You can see this really as a body movement too. And in the middle, you have the motionless and really stable colors that doesn't move a lot. So this is motionless. You have the round, warm, and near colors. These are the warm ones, the red tones. You have some kind of organic and vegetal colors here. You have cold and distant and wet as keywords on the blue colors here. You have more soft colors. If you apply lightness, you have colors, if you put them into shade, that look a little bit more natural. So you can construct this kind of model, and if you apply color, it's a useful model to think about what you want to express with your colors. We like to test these kind of things in education, and we let people paint colors that are really colorful, so colors that are mixed with white, so colors that are mixed with black, some colors that are mixed with gray. And then we put them in a matrix, light colors on top, dark colors down, and colors with high chroma on the right, plus low chroma on the left side, or no chroma on the left side, like here. And then I collect words from them, like what do you like? Where do you like to be? Like at the sea, that's here, or at the living room, that's here, or at school, that's here, or in the cellar, that is here, or at the train station, that is on top here. And after this, after I collect these words, we try to fit these words into the colors that are already glued on the wall. And we get an integration of color meaning and the tones or color nuances. And this is really nice to see in the end, because you can see quite clearly what you mean. So some people put something like school. They tend to put school somewhere here, like school is something where you don't want to be. It's grayish and it's not, you don't expect to be adventurous or something. And some people say, okay, no, school is here. School should be here. Like a little bit more colorful, maybe not too colorful, but it should be, So if you do this kind of game, you can always say, okay, what do you think it is right now, or what do you want to be it in the future, maybe, or what would be the ideal way to put it? So you can quite nicely discuss with the students what colors support and what kind of scenario or context. And this quite nicely, because you also integrate like emotions inside of it. You can see it on the right side. You can see it's fun that is here. It is also some kind of other fun in Germany, like Spaß. You would need to translate it now to English. The difference between fun and fun, like Freude und Spaß. So Spaß is much more fun, maybe than Freude. It is more calm fun, you might say. I guess there is an English word for it. Okay, it's a good task to do, to notice that there are different meanings, and the combinations of emotion and context and color works quite nicely to discuss your expectations. This is some small things we do to get an idea how color works and how also artists apply colors. So I asked people to, I give them magazines, and they cut out some image they like, and they try to translate this image into 3D collages. And while they do this, they transform the image into their own somehow. And this is quite nicely also to see how color works in these abstract new 3D spaces. And they get to know how the principles of color work also in the original artwork. So this is a quite nice thing to do in 2 or 3 hours, to analyze art and color spectrums. On the right, on the top, you can see some images where we try to figure out what colors stand for certain milieus or target groups, and it's always nice to design and to discuss the expectations of the students with each other. So the task here is they all get some kind of image of some kind of target group that you can see maybe in advertising, and they try to design the fitting colors for the target group. And then we have the colors. We glue them on the board, and we have these kind of target group images, but we have them turned around so the people don't see what's behind. So we can play quite nicely and think about what is this color combination standing for. We discuss this kind of color combination, say, okay, this might be a little bit more young, maybe because the colors are more artificial and more bright, and so on. And then in the end, we say, okay, maybe this was right or not, and we turn around the photo, and then we can quite nicely see, quite nicely that we were quite good in guessing what the original image stands for. So this is a good task to do. Of course, we work with color and material concepts. We also develop material, like you can see here on the top, on the bottom. It's a mixture of egg skin with concrete and these kind of things. We design most of these things already in a digital way, and then always go back to analog and material spheres. Color design is also integrated into interior architecture and lighting design. So we work together a lot for the first 2 semesters. We do nearly the same basics. But here you can see just some examples of models and applications in color and architecture, interior architecture. Of course, we also try to discuss the materiality of color and try to develop color out of natural resources. And this is something, just an image that shows how we did cook and refine some colors that have natural ingredients. We put these kind of colors that we see in the natural spectrum into the development of forms that also come from the body. So the task here is to draw some kind of shapes that could just come to your mind. So the task is to draw 100 or 200 of these kind of forms in 1 or 2 hours time. And after this, we decide for some of them that are good and some are not. Then you try to develop a color collection of 15 shades and apply them onto your forms that you were imagining. Then sometimes you get some kind of theme that you apply to them, and afterwards you have a presentation. Like here you can see the flowy presentation of forms that are really organic and with colors that are quite natural, so you can fit the expectations that lie into the forms. Of course, we also try to think surfaces in a way that we are searching for cultural themes. On the left, on the top, you see some surfaces that are designed after the Zero artist group. So it's an artist group that mainly did work in the 70s. And Günter Uecker is one of the members, or has been one of the members. And you see these kind of own translations of the analysis of the artist group into own surfaces. You see the theme of agriculture on the left on the bottom, or the theme of lace and weaving that has been translated into surfaces on the right hand. So we work extensively also, you can see this here, with the lasers and laser cutting, laser graving that we need to prototype the surfaces. Of course, natural aspects play a bigger role in the last years. So we have some pigment studies. We were collecting pigments or natural material in nature. And on the top, you see some leaves and needles that are then applied into wax. On the bottom down, you can see earth pigments that were collected in a certain area. And on the right side by Michel Häusler, you can see quite nicely some kind of pulp upcycling project where you deal with the surface, cut it and prototype it with the laser cutting and laser graving, and combine it with the natural ingredients color, so you can explore the medium of upcycling and material. Also, we do some projects, of course, that are going into different directions. It's just one by Lotte Bark here. She was trying to figure out the color of turquoise. What is the area of color you think about here? What are the colors that you would combine it with? And what is the mood turquoise gives you? And she was designing then some rendered, like this kind of thread application, rendered forms that put form and also objects and combinations to the color turquoise. One of the latest tasks by Shavan, I think she's here too, was the diploma study. She was thinking about material and how material and color can be combined by the task of having just eco materials. And she was collecting a lot of eco materials and then tried to apply these eco materials in their color collections that are there with the three color trend reports by NCS, RAL, and Caparol. So I think you can see it here, the one of Caparol. You can see quite nicely that you can also fit these kind of trend reports using natural materials or sustainable materials, and that you don't have to have the argument that you can't work in color if you apply sustainable materials. So this is really good. If you have a material library, it's good. You can now put all these kind of sustainable materials inside of it, and we can have an impact on sustainability if we apply these things. But in terms of color, we don't have to step back, actually. We can easily work with the new materials. If we work at university and talk about stuff, we understand color as a relic of the past, mostly. Not mostly, I would say, but at some point, we always search for narrations in history or in the past. On the other hand, we see color as a symptom of the present. If you look at color scenarios nowadays, you can quite nicely see maybe who the author was and what he wanted to express with this. I will show some image for it. And of course, we see color as a sign of the future. And that color is deeply embedded in human behavior and emotion. This is the example for this. You can see this is an image of a wall I found in Hanover. The one part is from, I think, 1896 or something like this. The other one is more new. It's quite new. And you can see a change of culture, of course. You can see a relic of the past. The past had been more, there has been more failure, maybe more variation in color. And you also had some more thoughts, maybe, where you apply color, because also on the edges, you find this kind of pattern here, and you find this nice edge that you have here. You see a little bit more decoration inside of the historic application of color here. On the right one, you see the color is more artificial. You see a very accurate application that is more standardized, that is really practical and maybe a little cheaper too. And then you can think, maybe what kind of design would I propose for a future wall, a future architecture? And then you can think about maybe if you step into the ideas of the past at some point. Our approach, if you think about color, is to reflect on the on the interaction between external events and internal states, or the other way around. And you can see this here. If we design like this, like in Germany, you see a lot of new built or renovated homes that are black and white with a huge fence before. And if you think this kind of design should be, also there's someone living inside, and you think about what does it mean for a society if all live like this? This would be a society that is afraid of the other, that is afraid to show or to communicate. It's more like a barricade and a non-communicator. So color, the application of color, has something to do with society and how we understand our society and how we deal with each other. So this is something that plays against an open society quite directly. And yeah, it's hard to understand how people design like this nowadays. This is a space I have been with my daughter 3 or 4 weeks ago at a hospital where you have this kind of emergency thing. And she entered the room and said, okay, really, I have to sit on this kind of bench here. And she said, oh no, I can't do this. So she was really afraid. Also, there was this nice, in brackets maybe, this nice figure there, this kind of clown, but it's not really helping this experience. So, of course, you can make, with a little bit of color, a little bit of thought, you can make these scenarios welcoming. You can work against stress. You can work against being afraid of what will happen there. So you can make it more comfortable. I think you all know this, but mostly people don't understand it. I have another example on the back, because this is maybe something that will be designed in the next years, but also this is something children get in contact with hospitals and stuff, and they are afraid if they are ill and stuff, and then you have to be in this kind of rooms. So we can't get tired of telling all the people that with color and color design, we can create a long-term value for all. So we can put a plus there, if we think of color in function. We can put it inside a function A plus in context, like with cultural references and storytelling. We have a plus in color if you think of ethics, like applying ecological material, facilitate integration, diversity, and inclusion. We have a plus in sensuality. We can facilitate resonant experience in whatever scenario. We have a plus in creativity. We can encourage participation and well-being by applying the right colors in the right situation. We can have more cooperation or better cooperation if we lower barriers, facilitate communication by applying color in the right way. We can have a plus in comfort by applying harmony, maybe beauty and healthy colors. And also, this is really important, we have an impact on a social way by applying scenarios that tend to force participation and engagement. So if I was a politician, I would think, okay, with color, I can clearly show people that they are welcome, that they are on the right spot, and that they are that the surrounding is healthy and benefiting. You can see this, of course. Color, unlike maybe the last 50 years, has some kind of problem. The argument often used in advertising, psychology, that color helps to sell is an almost unethical argument in times of climate change. And strictly speaking, we need to sell less, of course. So our strategies will have to change, or it will be more about communicating honestly and transparently. So, and likewise, color trends today need to be long-lasting and basal rather than experimental and wasteful. Because also in fashion, we have reached a zenith with 12 collections a year, and now it's back to longevity. Fast fashion is a discontinued model, and how fast we want to be or can be has yet to be seen. Also, pigments and paints are hardly recyclable and often not healthy. And green is mostly used for greenwashing, and white and gray in particular are the answer to a general overstimulation and are spreading in living rooms too. So this is the living room that, or maybe also it's a doctor's office that doesn't speak too much. And you can also see that good design becomes expensive and an expression of social hierarchy. So it's us and them, whether in the cityscapes, stores, or homes and products. We generate the opposition of togetherness. And I do not think that it's healthy to do this. So there is a political factor in applying color, because color has become really a commercial thing, where you can find all the scenarios where is color and where is money included, and that you have nice color scenarios and maybe also healthy environments. Where there is no money, you mostly have these kind of scenarios that are really disappointing and doesn't welcome you at all. So it's something that you could change easily, but it's a political decision. I once had the idea that good design could be made accessible to everyone, and that it could be democratized for a healthier living environment for all. Well, so the importance of good design and the necessity of temporal correspondence of design is emphasized by Immanuel Kant already in his Reflections in 1771, where he stated that beautiful things indicate that man fits into the world. And for me, this means, in short, that in a beautiful environment, man experiences the feeling of coherence. He feels in harmony with inner sensations and outer form. So beautiful things indicate that man fits into the world. It's something that shows it quite nicely, that color is something like political. I was asking AI to draw a color spectrum that is healthy, and this was the result, actually. So you can see quite nicely in comparison to the scenario that is more like black and white or grayish, that is really lively and that is really supporting, like it's somehow, it's a little bit, maybe too much of a color, but that the colors somehow fit together and that you have a scenario that is more supporting. So beauty is an elementary contribution to health and a thoroughly political factor in the debate of healthy living environments. We call things beautiful when content and expression, expectation and function come together in a way that is characterized by medium complexity and high self-similarity. So spaces or objects are nothing other than the product of human action and just so a product and personal human experience and communication. This is an example on the left side. It's a new built civil service facility that is, if you go there, you say, okay, I enter a different system now. You have no idea where to go, and there is no segmentation and no direction where to go. It's really confusing. It's like entering a big machine. On the right hand, it's just a 3-minute idea of doing this better. So it's not really a lot of work to do this a little bit better, but somehow colors tend to be much more or too functional nowadays, that people don't see the welcoming and the political point in it. Like it is like this, so we try to design tools to give architects and people something in their hand that they can apply. This is a tool we developed, that Sabine Hirschen developed, where we try to design elements, like you can see here, that you can put into the design of streets, in the design of cities. And you can see a place here on the right where you can put in some kind of, we call it space expander, to make the cityscapes more applicable to people. You already can do this via augmented reality, that you can place like these kind of seating things directly on the streets. So this is a whole lot of a tool with a lot of methods to think about your surroundings and to put the right action, the right form, the right colors into action to have a more lively surrounding. Of course, we work with tools that are really digital. This is a really small tool where we show our customers how colors apply to the overall color in the rooms. That if you apply blue color, the whole room or space will be really cold in the appearance. And this is a really small and nice tool, but effective tool to show the meaning of color, or not the meaning, but the how color will be perceived and how color changes space. This is a tool we did develop. It's like more or less Dean size color plates or boards that we can play with and build these kind of scenarios. And on the left side, you see something that came out of it. With this kind of tool, we can make workshops with our customers to see which color scenario would be fitting to which surrounding. So it's quite easily to apply, and it's fun to use. We also did start out this, some of the last things here. We also tried to or did do this RAL starter kit. You know, the RAL collection is quite big, like 1,840 colors or something. So it's really a lot of colors. And we tried, in education, we tried to minimize these colors, to have just 150 colors to start in workshops and stuff. Because you also know that if you work at university with color, you always have the problem to have good samples. And we said, okay, we need samples, also bigger samples in A6 format to make mood boards or collages and color material concepts. So we decided to narrow down the collection to 150, like 10% of the colors, all in all. But we try to have as many colors as possible. So you have 10 colors actually, with the different nuances we decided for, so that we can apply a certain color wheel that we see here, but you have the feeling that you have all the colors you need to apply your ideas. So this is the color wheel in the end. And the colors you can see here. We have some RAL design colors and also some RAL classic colors that you cannot find in RAL Design Plus, so that you can benefit from the bigger color spectrum. And this is what we do with it. So we easily can test combinations. And we also did use it to design our Musterkiste in German. So it was a box we gave in COVID time to our students to design with color and to take these at home, at their home office, to make good collages and color material concepts. You can see we had a lot of material that we put in the boxes. And we put gave these colors away so that the student can use them. This is another application. People are searching for things, and we try to find the colors in the new. We also use the box to analyze use cases. And we try to use the box to get our ideas of interiors into concepts. In addition to this, we have a professional box. That's the RAL trend box, where you have different materials like plastic samples, paint samples, carpet samples, and textile samples to apply them to designs. And also there, an application of this. Also there, you can find materials and stuff to design your interiors or products with more or less the same colors. So this is really unique in making application very easy if you think of concepts that are fitting into our times right now. Yes, this is what I wanted to tell you. I will not go into these things in the end, I think. You just have to know that this kind of tool, the color trend box, has been designed really carefully while looking at current color trends in connection to long-term megatrends, so that it is not something that is just a short-term trend that is like a fashion trend color right now, but that is a tool that you can use for the next 10 years if you want to apply colors to your designs. Thank you very much right now here. I think I have to stop somehow. It's 6 minutes past 11. I already thought that I would be way too long and a little bit too hectic maybe. And I know that some thoughts got confused in my mind with my nose being a little stuck right now with a cold. but I hope that I could give you some ideas or maybe some hints about what we might speak in the future, to give a little bit more detail into it. So this was a rough overview of what we are doing. I would love to take your questions now. Thank you very much. I was talking too much.
Thank you, Timo. It's a really very interesting presentation you gave, an overview of insights in how you teach. It's really good. It's sorry. There was a question from Anna Maria Mack. Let's see. She wonders in the Netherlands, or maybe Anna Maria, you can ask the question yourself if you like. Are you still there?
Ines?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. One moment. Timo, thank you very much for the presentation. We will talk on. Please all stay on board, but we will stop the recording first.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah, okay, no problem.